15 years that you shared with me. Thank you.
Number 74 will now hang in the Hall of Fame here at Anaheim Stadium. And now let's go back to your game announcer, John Ramsey.
Well, what you just heard is the tail end of the ceremony, officially retiring number 74, the jersey of Merlin Olsen. And Jeannie spoke about receiving his Hall of Fame ring just a few moments ago, and of the thrill of being associated with the guys he grew up watching, the ghosts who still roam the stadiums wherever football is played. But he talked about special thanking the Rams organization for officially retiring number 74, the first Rams uniform to be officially retired. Of course, Bob Waterfield's number 7 has never been reissued. Neither has Elroy Crazy Legs Hirsch number 40's jersey. But this is officially the first one to be hung up and said no one in this Rams organization will ever wear number 74 again. And don't you know, NBC's Merlin Olsen is one proud man today.
Well, Phil, as I mentioned before, I played many games against these Los Angeles Rams, and certainly Merlin Olsen. But not only is Merlin, or was he, a great football player, but he still is such a gentleman, and always was, and just a fantastic representative of the Los Angeles Rams football team. And I know that he's certainly proud, because when you think about the Rams, there are lots of other people who could have had their jerseys retired. Deacon Jones comes to mind, but to be selected as the first one, I mean, that is some tremendous honor.
Merlin said something also I thought was very interesting. As you take a look at the first half statistics of this ball game, the Broncos now coming back in the second period, 213 total yards to Los Angeles is 126. Can you believe that? Because in the first period it was all Los Angeles, and then you look at the second quarter and see the time of possession. The Broncos have taken over that statistic also. 16 minutes 20 seconds to just a tad under 14 minutes for the Rams. One thing Merlin said that I thought was very telling of the demeanor of this man, and you spoke about that, Gene, is what a gentleman he was when he played and still is. He said whenever he sees someone wearing number 74, he wants them to do well, because that was my number, and I don't want anybody embarrassing my number. Do you feel the same way about number 19?
Well, not number 19, but I do about 18. Which was my number, because when I look around, and receivers can no longer have that number. If you're a receiver coming into the league now, you have to have an 80 number. But there's still one guy that wears 18 down at the San Diego Chargers.
Charlie Joyner.
Never have to worry about him not playing well. But I know just what he means. It is something that you are aware of and you think about.
Now we are set to go as the festivities continue along the sidelines. Merlin will take a ride around this Anaheim Stadium in the Rams golf cart, and set to kick it away is Rich Carless. And he gets his foot into it. It'll be Barry Redden at the 2-yard line. And Redden's got running room across the 30 and down near the 35. First man to him, Nathan Poole. You wonder what Ray Malavasi might have been telling his Rams at halftime. Something along the lines of, let's not let this happen again, guys. We've been in this position before.
Again and again and again. Several times, huh?
Here's the way the Rams will go at you. Vince Ferragamo is the quarterback. Gooman, Wendell Tyler, the running backs. The receivers, Preston Denard, the tight end, Mike Barber, and Willie Miller, the other wide out. The line, Pankey, Hill, Smith, Hara, and Jackie Slater. That is Wendell Tyler, and he got a couple out near the 38-yard line. Randy Gratishar brings him down. You know, the second period, Gene, has to give the guys in orange a tremendous incentive to come out now and play well. And here's a look at the guys who will be charged with stopping this Rams offensive unit. Chavis, Latimer, and Jones. The linebackers, Ryan Evans, Gratishar, and Tom Jackson. And the defensive backs, Wright, Kyle, Dennis Smith, and Steve Trimble. The lone setback now in the backfield is Wendell Tyler. Gooman split out wide to the near side. Tyler, pardon me. That is Mike Barber. Larry Evans is right on top of him. A first down for Los Angeles out at the 45.
Well, Larry Evans was all over number 86, Mike Barber, but I mentioned in the first half that one of the reasons Barber is in there because he has excellent hands. You'll see Ferragamo just zips his ball in there. There, Barber just plucks it right out of the air with Larry Evans hanging all over him.
First and 10 Rams. That's Tyler. Juke steps his way to the outside, tries to cut it back inside, and will get a couple out to the 47. Rulon Jones is there to bring him down, third year out of Utah State. If there's one area of this Broncos defense that is strong, it would be the line, because they're sixth in the conference against the rush, allowing about 110 yards a game.
I think it would be safe to include those linebackers in that group because they're so important against that rush in a 3-4.
Bernard picked off almost. Aaron Kyle, who has one today, almost got his second of the afternoon. We pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC television network.
This is Channel 4, KOA-TV Denver, Colorado's news channel.
Phil Stone with Gene Washington just underway here in the second half. 12 minutes, 55 seconds to play in the third quarter. It's Los Angeles holding on to a touchdown lead, 21-14. They led at 1 point, 21-0.
The Rams are going with 3 wide receivers.
Ferragamo with time. Now puts it up, and it is knocked away from Drew Hill. And again, the man right on top of him was Lewis Wright.
Drew Hill, who's only 5'9", about 170 pounds, trying to run a little delay pattern coming back underneath. He was really no match for Louis Wright, who stands 6'2", weighing about 200 pounds.
Louis Wright has to be one of the biggest corners in the league.
Oh, he certainly is. Not only one of the biggest, but one of the fastest. Runs about, well, came into the league with a 4.40. And that's really picking him up and laying him down.
Rick Upchurch, the single safety back at his own 12. John Misko. Out of 43.5-yard average. It's blocked and out of bounds. The Broncos, oh, are they in business? Blocked by Rob Lytle.
Rob Lytle came through the middle of that line virtually untouched. He had a clear shot at the punter. Bronco defense has really come to life. You'll see that Misko gets the ball a little low snap, but I don't think it made much difference, because you can see that Lytle blocked that ball practically with his elbows. He had gotten there so quickly.
The first block kick for the Broncos this year. And boy, does it come at a great time for Denver. Rick Barrows, Gerald Wilhite. Now Wilhite shifts into the tailback slot in the eye. And he'll take the handoff.
Play action.
No, he won't. Play action. Great fake. Watson has it. Oh, did he put a move on Pat Thomas? The thing, Gene, I think that made that play work is how well Wilhite carried off the fake.
Well, I don't know what happened, but Watson picking up that reception for 19 yards, and as you said, he put a move on Pat Thomas. Pat was still heading towards the end zone when Watson caught that pass. That was some move. Good play action. Steve DeBerg faking the ball, then hiding the ball, doing an excellent job, then getting it out in the right flap to number 81. Steve Watson had a nice week last week. 101 yards and 1 touchdown.
And a very questionable call that was ruled no touchdown. First and 10, DeBerg, pocket collapsing, and down goes DeBerg. Reggie Doss, his third sack of this ball game. Jack Youngblood also gives him a hand. That's the 4th for the Rams today.
Well, I think Steve did a wise thing here. Didn't see anything initially, feeling the pressure from Reggie Doss and Jack Youngblood, deciding to go down, not throw that ball away, and give it to the Rams. You know, they're in good position here. They've got the ball on that block punt. They have a chance to score. You know, don't just throw the ball away. I think it was a smart thing for Steve DeBerg to do, is just take the sack.
A loss of 11. Second down, 21. Perros in motion to the top. A give to Wilhite, and he is tripped up right at the line of scrimmage by Larry Brooks. Back up to Cody Jones, the right side of that Rams defensive line.
Well, Larry Brooks reached out there with his hand to trip him up, and had he not gotten him, he could have run a long way. Well, look at that score. Atlanta 28-0 over New Orleans in the third quarter.
It was a Lynn Kane 1-yard touchdown run that gave him that last score. Down in 21. Ball spotted on the 25. That's Dave Preston in motion. Now comes back to release man on the near side. He'll go to him. And he won't get much further.
Flag down on the play. He's going to be holding against Denver.
And Dan Reeves has seen just about enough of the flags against his ball club. He cares to see today. Or Reeves, coaching under the great one, Tom Landry, for so many years, he's not used to mistakes.
Holding, number 76, offense, third down.
Well, that's against the right tackle, Ken Lanier.
Look at this one. Kansas City is back out in front of the Raiders now at Arrowhead, 9-7 in the third quarter.
Third and 31.
Third and a bunch.
Third and 31.
Screen, good call.
Wilhite. And he is hit by George Andrews. So the pickup is 5, but now it'll be fourth down and about 26. And in comes fourth and 26. They're going to go for it. No, it'll be Rich Carlos. I didn't see him in the huddle from the hold of DeBerg. Carlos is 7 for 7 this year. Tops in the NFL. This one from 48 yards out. He got it.
8 for 8. And no shoe. Barefooted.
Rich Carlos has just brought the Denver Broncos to within 4. We'll be back. Anaheim Stadium, where the Rams jumped out to a 21-0 lead, and since then it has been all Denver coming back with the last 17 points. That's where we stand, 21-17. Barry Redden breaks it to the outside. A flag is down, and so is Redden at the 23. Bob Lytle is there on the stop. Gene, I think it's safe to say that the Rams are going to try and have to get something going and sustain an offensive drive to keep that defense off the field a while.
Well, Phil, I've been in situations like this before where the same things tends to happen week after week. The Rams have gotten out to big leads in the first quarter, a lot of football games. Well, listen to the call.
Number 73 on the return, first down.
Then that lead starts to disintegrate. Then the players start thinking, oh no, here it comes again. And then that's something you try to fight. And if you start thinking about it too much, it affects the way you play. Because in order to play this game well, you really can't be doing a lot of thinking. You just have to react and go. If they start thinking about, is the other shoe going to drop, then it usually does.
First and 10 at the 10-yard line. Play action. Ferragamo to put it up. Wide open is Mike Barber. He's got it. And he has a first down out across the 22-yard line. Ferragamo had Wendell Tyler open on the right flat. Looked him off. Came right back to Mike Barber. Picked up a little more than Wendell Tyler perhaps would have gotten. There's the way it went. First quarter was Los Angeles out in front. They got the next 14 in the second period before Denver took advantage and grabbed the ball and ran it in. They have scored first in here in the third period, and that is where we stand. Goodman hit at the line, spins and fights his way out across the 30. So Goodman, third year out of Penn State, hit at the line, spun for another 6.
Well, Goodman is not the type of runner who's going to break a big one, but he's certainly a smart guy and gives you 100% all the time. Also a very good blocker, and he's a fellow that Ferragamo will look to coming out of that backfield, as he's an awfully good receiver.
Ferragamo in the first half, 6 for 13 with 1 interception. Second down, 4. Little crossbuck to Wendell Tyler. It did not fool Rulon Jones.
Unruly Rulon, they call him. Had a concussion of, I think it was a week or so ago, but doesn't seem to be bothering him.
Third down and 2. This could be a big play for the Rams. If they don't make it and are forced to kick it away, that defensive unit will have to come back onto the field. Now, they've been out there an awful lot the second period. Wendell Tyler. Oh,
Flip.
got turned around. Wendell could break it, but he will not get the first down. He was stopped about a yard short. Reuben Carter, the nose tackle, had to do a lot of running to catch up with Wendell Tyler. Give Wendell Tyler all the credit in the world. He was gone for a loss of 10 and turned it into about right back up to about the line of scrimmage. Fourth down and 1, a kicking situation again for Los Angeles. Denver ought to come out of this exchange in pretty fair field position.
Well, with Rick Upchurch back there, who's the all-time leader in total punt return yardage in the NFL, when he gets his hands on that ball, all he needs is a little daylight.
Misko, a long count. It's there. Will not be blocked this time. Boy, does he sail this one.
Ooh.
Forget about it. Rick Upchurch.
Great punt.
Grab it at the 7-yard line. Look out. A 60-yard punt by John Misko. Now he's averaging almost 44 yards. This time the Broncos will start deep in their own end.
Sammy, good job.
3 wide receivers. Now Upchurch comes out. To Berg on 1st and 10. Little outlet pass to Rick Parris. And he's out to the 40, a pickup of 5. De Berg has now completed, Gene, 11 consecutive passes. Montana yesterday against the Chargers completed 15. The all-time record is 17 in a row by Bert Jones when he played for the Colts. Denver with 15 first downs in this ball game. The Rams with 11. The setbacks, Winder and Parris in motion. Coming to the bottom of your screen. Fumble, and it bounced right back up into Winder's hands. He's going to run for the first down. And the bench on the far side is alive.
Well, Sammy's not going to let anything like a little football deter him. I mean, he drops it, picks it up, doesn't miss a step, breaks a few tackles. Hey, he really runs that football well.
Winder, 6 carries for 36 yards. Wilhite, 6 carries in the first half for 37 yards. Going to the top of your screen, Upchurch. Coming wide to the right is Steve Watson. He'll draw coverage from Pat Thomas.
Comes a blitz.
Safety blitz picked up nicely by Wilhite. Great block. And it is caught by Watson, a pickup of about 8. Pat Thomas is right on top of him. I'll tell you something. A rookie running back out of San Jose State, Gerald Wilhite, 5'10", 200, really put a block on Johnny Johnson.
Well, I saw Johnny Johnson coming from his strong safety position on the blitz, but he came in such a tentative way. He really didn't come all out. He really didn't try to get to the quarterback in a hurry. He just sort of came like he was trying to contain the quarterback, and then Wilhite came out and just laid a really tough block on him.
Second down, a little more than 1. DeBerg, 17 of 24 for 211 yards. He's completed 12 in a row. Winder in motion to the top. The give, Parros, and he has the first down at the 40-yard line. Reggie Doss shuts it down.
Safety car made the stop. First down.
Well, you saw Gerald Wilhite checking back into the game. He and Sammy Winder alternating.
First and 10, Denver. That is Rick Upchurch right behind DeBerg. Now he breaks out and heads to the top of your screen. DeBerg trying for his 13th consecutive pass. He has got it. Watson wide open at the Rams' 20-yard line. Pat Thomas on the stop. A gain of 20 to Watson.
Well, Steve Watson finding that open spot in his own area. The Rams deciding to go to a zone, not double covering Watson as they did in the first half. Comes up with a big reception. Watson has 8 receptions on the day for 137 yards.
Well, he had a big week last Sunday in that heartbreaker to Atlanta. Now Watson and Upchurch come out to the same side, wide to the right. The running backs, Winder and Peros. The give to Winder. And he's got blockers in front of him. He is down to the Rams' 15-yard line. It is Nolan Cromwell and Jimmy Collins on the stop. Good blocks by Dave Studdard and Tom Glassick, the guards.
The Broncos had some good linemen, particularly in the middle. Bill Bryant in there, and as you mentioned, Studdard and Glassick leading that play. And they have a great tackle, Claudio Minor, who's not able to play today. But they have a good offensive line.
Upchurch single coverage over on the near side by Pat Thomas to give straight up the middle. And he's got a couple.
Jim Collins, middle linebacker, making a stop.
Oh, Gerald Wilhite, the rookie out of San Jose State, Gene, coming into this game, had an average of almost 5 yards a carry, and there are only 3 running backs in the NFL who have a higher per rush average. Ted Brown, who's almost up to 6 yards a carry, Freeman McNeil, and Marcus Allen. Wilhite now 8 carries for 39 yards. Winder in motion. Rick Peros, the lone running back. He's going to Winder on the flex pass. He has got it, and he's carried out of bounds by George Andrews. A first down for Denver. So their first 2 possessions here in the second half. One resulted in a 38-yard field goal by Rich Carlos, and this being the second, it started at their own 8-yard line. So they have learned the meaning of traveling the length of the football field in this ball game. They did it in the second period.
They've done it in a very precise way. Steve DeBerg that time just getting the ball out to the flat to Winder, who not only is a good runner but a good receiver, just in front of George Andrews.
That's Upchurch. The give. Harris. And he'll be stopped after a pickup of maybe 2. Jim Collins, who's playing with a badly sprained ankle, happened early in this ball game. They taped it and said, get back in there. He did, and he's played very well. Second down and goal. From the 6. Right up the middle, Sammy Winder to the 4. Again, Collins is there. Can you imagine Collins sitting on the bench behind Carl Eckern? Kid can play. He has played very, very well since coming on as a regular.
Well, they expect him to be an outstanding middle linebacker. He just lacks the experience, but he's from this point on, he's certainly going to get a lot of it.
And that'll be the last play of the third period as the Broncos will let it tick down and expire. So we have completed 3 quarters of play. The Rams 21, the Broncos 17. We'll be right back after these messages. Rams holding on to a precarious 21-17 lead over Denver. The Broncos, this drive started at the 8-yard line. They are now at the Rams 4. Earlier today in the second period, the Browns started at the 7-yard line and scored. So they have certainly been the distance of this football field. 3rd and goal from the 4. Shotgun, that is Watson in motion. The give to Paris. Did he get in?
He's going to be close. He's going to be right. He's only going to be about maybe 6 inches away.
Now, if you're Tom Landry, what do you do? The same thing Dan Reeves is going to do. You're going to get the sure 3. Now, Reeves learned under one of the most conservative in some ways.
I think they might have gotten a bad spot. I think he got a little closer than that. Maybe he touched down first, but that last surge, he got it right down by the line. But we'll see what the call is.
Now, this is a good call, a field goal. It brings you now to within field goal range of the Rams. The Broncos now down by 4, 21-17. It's down, and Carlos has drilled it perfectly. He is now 2 for 2 today, 9 for 9 on the year. With 14:04 to play, it's 21-20, Los Angeles. A rout by the Los Angeles Rams has turned into as close a ball game as you can get. 21-20, Rams leading by 1. Redden fields it 4 yards deep, and he said, He's going to leave it to Ferragamo and company to begin the drive from their own 20-yard line. 13 minutes, 59 seconds to play on this one. The Rams by 1. We'll be back. Now, there you take a look at the domination by the Denver Broncos. Ever since the first quarter, when the Rams seemed to be really taking it to Denver, it has been the Broncos ever since. And as we have said early on, the Broncos defense has not played badly at all today. It was 2 costly turnovers. Knocked down. Right at the line of scrimmage.
Tom Jackson, outside linebacker, coming through on a blitz. Didn't get to the quarterback, but he did the next best thing and knocked that pass away.
Bryson Manor right in Ferragamo's face also, so it'll be 2nd down and 10. Now, this Rams defensive unit has to come back on the field very soon. They're going to have to carry oxygen bottles with them.
Comes a blitz again.
That is Wendell Tyler, and he'll lose some. Great pursuit by the Broncos linebackers, led by Randy Gradishar and Larry Evans.
Look at that score. Buffalo 13-0 over Pittsburgh. That's the final. Redskins over St. Louis 12-7. Cleveland getting beat by Cincinnati 23-10. New York Jets 32, Tampa Bay 17. Cold weather. Minnesota over Baltimore 13-10. And Detroit is taking it to Green Bay in a surprise 30-10. And look at this, New England, 3 big ones, but that's enough to beat Miami.
Here they come. They're all coming. Ferragamo tries to unload and throws it in front of nobody. There's nobody out there.
Well, Denver is just bringing everyone on defense. That time there was a strong safety, number 49, Dennis Smith, coming on the blitz. Ferragamo is upset. I think he expected one of his receivers to see that blitz and break it off. You talk about aggressive defense on the part of the Broncos.
Now the defensive unit of the Rams is going to have to come back on. Here's John Misko. He'll kick it away. He had a 60-yarder a moment ago. Upchurch will have a return, and it should be a fairly decent one. And he is into Rams territory, out of bounds at the 46-yard line, a 42-yard punt, a 12-yard return by Rick Upchurch. 12 and now the Bronco offensive unit is on the field. Steve DeBerg, 19 of 27, 235 yards and a pair of touchdowns. 14 straight for DeBerg. Montana had 15 straight completions yesterday, and he'll try and equal Montana's mark right here. Oh, he won't get there because George Andrews blindsided him. That's the 5th sack by the Rams. They only had 9 all year, Gene.
Well, both teams getting very aggressive on defense. Now it's the Rams' turn. Number 52, George Andrews, comes from his linebacking position on the blitz. And just as Steve was about to throw the ball, he gets sacked.
Second down, 20 now. The ball on the 44. Upchurch, Watson, the wide receivers. The running backs, Winder and Peros. DeBerg with time, screens it out to Winder, and he'll be tripped up right there by Johnny Johnson. Johnson fought off the block by Tom Glassick. That's just a great effort.
Certainly was, and what he did was he got underneath that block. Tom Glassick coming out trying to block Johnny Johnson on that screen. Johnny just got down underneath him. Came up with a big tackle. Well, Steve DeBerg is looking at third and an awful long way, about third and about 20.
Third and 23 to be exact. 11 minutes, 38 seconds to play. Winder. Can he turn it upfield? But he will not get away from number 21, Nolan Cromwell. Little misdirection by the Broncos didn't seem to fool the Rams defensive backs at all.
Well, you can see on this wide shot that the backs are dropping back expecting a pass. Now they see the handoff and they come up to react. On the top of your screen, you'll see number 27, Pat Thomas. He's the guy responsible for turning things in. He turns it in, takes the block, and number 21, Nolan Cromwell, comes over to make the tackle.
Luke Prestridge will put it in the air for the Broncos. Leroy Irvin, who, like Upchurch, has hadn't had much of an opportunity to break anything today. Here's a beauty. And Irvin's going to let it go. Look at this ball. It is down at the 7-yard line by Bishop, Keith Bishop. So the Rams will see what it's like starting deep in their own end. A 46-yard punt by Luke Prestridge. 10 minutes, 42 seconds to play here in this one. The Rams 21, the Broncos 20. Now, neither of these teams, Gene, would have what you would call an easy ball game this year. Broncos with 342 total yards. The Rams about half that total. L.A. has only 33 yards here in the second half. Ferragamo puts it up, picked off.
Intercepted.
Lewis Wright. And he'll be hit by Willie Miller, but the Broncos with excellent field position here. And again, the Los Angeles defense is on the field.
Well, that Bronco defense coming to life, playing like they have in the past, getting those turnovers. This was a situation where Vince Ferragamo threw the football, and his receiver was not even looking at the ball. Louis Wright picked this ball off, and you can see the receiver still. Willie Miller has his back turned to the ball. A complete foul-up between quarterback and receiver. And that result is that the Broncos have the ball on the Rams' 12-yard line, 12.5-yard line.
Yeah, Malavasi has seen this act before, and I don't think he likes it this time around any better than he did the first time in Green Bay. The pitch, Gerald Wilhite. Can he get around the corner? And he'll gain one, possibly two. It is George Andrews grabbing his shoulder pad. Talked about it at halftime, how lethargic, almost eerie this crowd seems here at Anaheim Stadium, even when the Rams were doing well in the first period. You see, there was reason for that.
Well, their team is still ahead, but it appears to me as though some of the people have already gone home.
Second down and 8 now. The ball on the Rams 11. That's Watson in motion. The give is to Winder. He's got room to turn it. And he's inside the 5, down near the 3. Pat Thomas, the last man who could stop him, and he did it. Good block by Tom Glassick, the pulling left guard. This telecast is presented by the authority of the National Football League. It is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Los Angeles Rams and the National Football League is prohibited. So the Denver Broncos have called timeout. Apparently, Steve DeBerg wants to talk things over with Dan Reeves, and while they take a timeout, we'll break away too. 9 minutes, 15 seconds to play. The Rams by 1. There's DeBerg's numbers, 20 of 28, 251 yards, a couple of TDs, and an interception. And he is in the midst right now of completing 15 in a row. He has equaled Montana's mark of yesterday against the San Diego Chargers. Third down and about 1. Double tight end formation now for Denver. It is DeBerg rolling left. He has the first down. It looked like a broken play. Jim Collins is the man who could have stopped him short, but didn't.
Well, I'm sure it was, because Steve DeBerg is not the fellow you want running with the football. He's had an operation or two. He wants to pitch the ball back, and I think that Winder went the wrong way. Berg had no choice but to carry the football himself.
And Winder's coming out of the ball game. Well, no harm, no foul is what they say around basketball. They got the first down. It is at the Los Angeles 2-yard line.
There's Vince on the phone, probably to one of the offensive people upstairs, trying to figure out what's going on with this passing game.
Right up the middle, Peros has the touchdown, and the Broncos, for the first time today, have a lead.
Well, Denver has really taken charge of this football game. It appears as though the Rams, as they have before, they get off to a nice big lead. They just wait for that other shoe to drop. And Denver has certainly taken advantage of all the situations. What do you think's going through Ray's mind there? How many times has he seen this situation?
I don't know what's going through his mind right now, but I'm sure the want ads may be going through his palms of his hands in the next few weeks, Gene. There's been a lot of talk around Southern California the last couple of weeks about Ray. And there's an awful lot of unrest here. Rich Carlos tries to tack on the point after, and he is Mr. Automatic. The Denver Broncos have scored the last 27 points of this ball game. They're on top, 27-21. Rich Carlos, short kick, taken at the 13-yard line. Bobbled momentarily. It is Mike Gilman out across the 26 near the 27.
On the 13-yard line. Stop by J.T. Collins.
The Rams, Gene, longest sustained drive of the day, 59 yards. That came way back in the first quarter, and that has been it. They have really never marched the length of the football field against this Bronco defensive unit. A unit coming into today's game was very suspect. We have not seen that defense today.
The Broncos have scored 27 unanswered points, and if the Rams are going to do anything, Mr. Ferragamo had better get them started now, because they have the look of a beaten football team.
That is Wendell Tyler moving out across the 30-yard line. We talk about blowing leads. Today they led 21-0. A few weeks back after the strike, they led Atlanta 14-0 the first week back after the strike and lost that ball game. The first game of the season at Green Bay, they were up 23-0 and lost the ball game. The Raiders have broken back on top now of Kansas City. It is 14-9 at Arrowhead. That game now in the fourth period. Plunkett to Todd Christensen. Look at the Christians, and accounted for all the Raiders' points today. Second down and 7. Released out near side. It is Gilman. He could go. Gradishar stuck his hand up and just missed it. A 46-yard gain for the Rams, all the way down to the Broncos' 24-yard line.
Ferragamo got his best receiver coming out of the backfield, Mike Newman, one-on-one on Randy Gradishar. Gradishar is a great middle linebacker, particularly against the run, but when it comes to pass coverage, he lacks the speed to really keep up with these fellows. And Gooman, number 44, does an excellent job of running after he makes the catch. The Rams have come back to life. The fans have woken up.
Trimble and Steve Wilson combine on the stop, or Gooman would have put the Rams back on top in this one. 7 minutes, 1 second to play in the ball game. Here's Wendell Tyler. He turns it inside, cannot escape the pursuit of number 56.
Loses the ball.
Evans. He lost the ball, but I think the Rams have got it. I think they're going to call the ball whistled dead. Hold on a minute, though. And the Rams have it. I think Kent Hill, the left guard, has it. Barney Chavis at the bottom of the pile. Gradishar was down there. Well, picked up of 2. It will be 2nd down and 8. The ball now resting on the 22 of Denver. Clock continues to run. 27-21 Broncos with 27 unanswered points. Ferragamo, play action. He's going for it. Barber, it is out of the end zone. It was intercepted by Lewis Wright. It would have been his 3rd of the day, but he was way out of the end zone. It will go as an incompletion. 3rd down and 8 now. Ferragamo has been around long enough to be throwing that into that kind of coverage.
He was lucky in that situation. I'm not sure he was actually trying to throw the ball out of the end zone. I think he was trying to throw it up, hoping that his man could come down with it. Trying to get it to number 86, Mike Barber. But Louis Wright, showing tremendous athletic ability, went up, came down with it. Fortunately for Vince Ferragamo, he was out of bounds by about 2 yards.
6 minutes, 20 seconds to play. Drew Hill, Willie Miller, the wideouts to the right. Preston Denard, the lone man to the left. Ferragamo scrambles out. He's got Denard. Does he have it? No, he does not have it. Denard did not get both feet in bounds.
Well, I think it's a very good call on the part of the official. Ferragamo does a good job moving away from the rush. He throws the ball on the run. Denard has 45 Steve Wilson beat. But you can see, there he is. He doesn't have a chance. He's got both feet out of bounds. The official standing right there making the call.
Ray Douglas, the back judge, positioned perfectly to make that call. 4th down and 8. Mike Lansford, who has converted 5 of 9 on the year, his longest from 36. This will be his longest of the year if he makes it. Plenty of distance, and he has drilled it perfectly. So Lansford has brought the Rams now to within 3. We're talking 27-24 Broncos. Oh, do we have a finish here? This ball game is the Broncos way on top in the 1st down category, way out in front in total yards. So we're talking about a 3-point game, 27-24, Denver leading. This is Will Height, a yard deep, and he's going to come out. And to the 22-yard line is where the Broncos will try and sustain a drive, at least get some of the time wound down off this clock. Gary Loughlin on the hit.
Well, the Rams, as you can see, they're within 3 points. Field goal will tie things up. They can get the ball back here. 5 minutes, 59 seconds to go. They still have plenty of time to go down and try to score a touchdown or 2. You look at those 20 out of 28.
That's Sammy Winder. As he hits into the line, gains about 1 before Larry Brooks, who is playing for an injured Greg Reisner, who is playing for an injured Mike Fanning. So the Rams are just about depleted in the left defensive tackle spot. Gene, if you're Dan Reeves and Steve DeBerg right now, what's the game plan? You've got a 3-point lead, you have the ball, and you've got the clock running.
I think I'd stick with what's worked best for me prior to this, and you know, they've been very successful here in the second half with their short passing game, and they've run some traps up the middle effectively. I'd stay with what's been working.
Play action. DeBerg will put it in the air. He's looking for Upchurch, and he's got him. Pat Thomas fell down just as Upchurch made his break to the inside. He had him covered before he took the spill.
Well, Pat Thomas did a good job in the pass coverage. The only problem is that when you're guarding a guy as fast as Rick Upchurch is, you can't stay with him forever. Denver's offensive line gives DeBerg plenty of time to throw the ball. He drops back there, takes his time, and delivers an excellent throw. And that's where a wide receiver likes to have that ball thrown. When you come across the middle, have that ball thrown down low. That's where you want to see it. It's a much easier catch when that ball is thrown low as opposed to when you have to try to jump up there with it.
First and 10, that is Watson moving to the top of your screen. Pitch near side, Sammy Winder cuts it back into the inside. He gets just to the line of scrimmage, maybe a yard before Larry Brooks, 11th year man out of Virginia St. Petersburg, shuts it down. DeBerg, Gene, has now completed 16 passes in a row. He is one off the NFL mark set by, as we said, Burt Jones, 17 consecutive aerial strikes. 4 minutes, 3 seconds to play. The clock is running. Wilhite, the running back. That's Watson. Wilhite will try to sweep right. And he got a good block from Paul Howard, but he could not get past Johnny Johnson. Look at this one. Kansas City has come back to take a lead over the Los Angeles Raiders, 16-14. That game, Gene, has to be late in the fourth period at Arrowhead.
As I said before, those Chiefs are awfully tough there in Arrowhead Stadium.
Right here with 3 minutes, 16 seconds to play. It is 3rd and 6 Denver.
Well, we're going to see whether Mr. Bird ties that record for consecutive passes right here.
He unloads. Look at that.
It. Wide open.
Watson was wide open.
He fumbles the ball.
Recovered by the Rams. DeBerg has tied the record by Burt Jones. The Rams, I believe, have the football.
Wait a minute. They're having some discussion down there. Maybe the ball bounced out of bounds.
The officials are discussing whether or not the Rams had the ball when it went out of bounds. And now they decide, yes, Los Angeles did recover the ball. George Andrews on the recovery. 2 minutes, 49 seconds to play. Now DeBerg has equaled Burt Jones' record of 17 consecutive completions. It's just a shame that it had to happen on that type of a play.
Oh, it certainly is. That's a very big play. But you know who else feels really bad about that is number 81, the receiver, Steve Watson. Catching that football wide open, trying to get extra yardage running on the field, and I think he just had that ball knocked away from behind by a defender that he didn't see.
The Rams 85 yards away, 2 minutes 45 seconds to get there. Pass right over the middle by Mike Duman, and he is drilled by Tom Jackson. I'll tell you, that is a school book, a textbook tackle right there. Put the helmet right in the chest and drive.
And if you have the speed and quickness of a Tom Jackson, you can get there in a hurry. And he certainly does. There's the clock ticking down. 2:24 now left. The Rams need only a field goal to tie. Send this game in overtime.
2nd down and 4. Ferragamo to the air. Double pump. Comes right over the top and cannot hit Wendell Tyler. Vince threw behind him.
He had Tyler wide open coming across the middle. Wendell looks to the bench. I think Wendell looked over to say, hey, it wasn't my fault, and it certainly wasn't. That ball was thrown behind him.
We pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC television network. Phil Stone and Gene Washington. Well, we have seen a heck of a comeback today by the Denver Broncos.
The Rams, Phil, might try to get Randy Gradishar isolated man-on-man with one of their backs. But they come with a blitz. There it is.
You want to talk textbook tackles? Hello, Dennis Smith. For the Broncos, only their second sack in this game, but that could not have come at a more opportune time.
Dennis Smith, the strong safety, coming with a blitz. Forcing the Rams to punt the ball away.
They'll have to get rid of it right here. And they will almost certainly give the Broncos tremendous field position. Rick Upchurch is standing at his own 47-yard line. Want to thank our spotters, Ed Wisniewski and Larry Eldridge, our scorer, Dennis Mnuchin. Job well done, gentlemen. We appreciate it. We are at the 2-minute warning. The Rams on the short end of a 27-24 score. We'll be back with a fantastic finish.
Smith coming from a strong safety position, number 49. And as you said, a perfect tackle. Helmet down, right between the numbers.
Ferragamo talking things over with John Hadle. As John Misko prepares to kick it away and give Denver the ball, Rick Upchurch is now standing at the Rams' 45-yard line. And we have 2 minutes to play in this ball game. Misko, he's got a good one. Upchurch will have a return of some sort. Oh, good block. But good pursuit by the Los Angeles Rams. Lewis Wright with the outstanding block. A 44-yard punt, a 2-yard return for Upchurch. So we did not see the punt return spectacle we thought we might from either Leroy Irvin or Rick Upchurch. A minute 48 seconds to play in this game.
I think both teams during the week gave an awful lot of attention to that since they came into this game with those two players leading the league, Upchurch being number 1 and Irvin being number 2. Well, there's a change. Chicago now ahead of Seattle, 20-17 in the fourth quarter.
The Denver Broncos, after this one, return home to take on the Kansas City Chiefs, who are out in front of the Los Angeles Raiders right now at Arrowhead. And then Denver finishes up at the Coliseum here in Los Angeles against the Raiders, and then travel to the Kingdome to take on Mike McCormick's Seahawks. The Rams, conversely, go right across town to meet the Raiders next week, and then head for Chicago, or come here, back here to Anaheim to play Chicago, and then travel up to take on the 49ers in San Francisco. Watson in motion to Berg. The give right through the middle. Rick Parris across midfield. And the Rams will call a timeout. Jim Collins on the stop. Dan Reeves looks on. His team holding on to a slim 3-point lead with a minute 43 to play. The coordinating producer of NBC's NFL football is Ted Nathanson. Today's telecast has been produced by Roy Hammerman. Directed by Bob Levy. Our technical director, Dick Roker, and our associate director for this one has been John Libretto. Operating producer, Ken Agard. Our unit manager, Angelina Marquez.
Uncle decided, well, instead of spending all that money for parking and popcorn, I'll just watch the game at home.
Second down and 7, the ball on the midfield stripe. This is Winder. And he moves it a pickup of a couple. It'll be third and about 5. And again, the Rams called a timeout. Jimmy Collins in on the hit once more. Interesting to note that the Rams finish out the rest of the season in the state of California. It has been a strange year, this 1982 football season, and you can be sure it will get even stranger as the playoffs approach. Cincinnati and the New York Jets sitting with 5-1 records. The Raiders at this moment losing to Kansas City sit at this moment 4-1. Miami and Pittsburgh at 4-2. As are Buffalo and San Diego. The Chargers play their last 3 games at home. New England is at 3-3. Then comes Cleveland and the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle trailing this game against Chicago this afternoon in the late stages of that ballgame at the Kingdome. And the NFC, it is Washington with a 5-1 mark. Dallas 4-1. And then comes Green Bay, who lost today to Detroit and surprised by the Lions. Atlanta is 3-2, as St. Louis 3-3. Detroit likewise. So is the Minnesota Vikings. Then comes Chicago and the New York Giants. Again, the top 8 teams in both the AFC and the NFC will make the playoffs. If there are ties, they'll go to head-to-head competition, the best one-loss tied percentage in games between the clubs. The Raiders have just gone back on top of Kansas City. Plunkett on a bomb. We are not certain who it went to. We will have that information momentarily. I believe Malcolm Barnwell caught it in Kansas City. Sammy Winder, a little inside handoff, and he will be dropped for a loss. Johnny Johnson was not fooled a bit. And the Rams use their final timeout to stop the clock with 1:32 to play, and on comes Luke Prestridge to punt it away.
Well, Denver deciding not to take a chance on having that ball picked off. They're going to make the Rams earn any yardage they get. If they want to get down close enough to kick a field goal, they're going to have to earn it the hard way. They're not going to give it to them.
Now, we saw last 2 weeks ago when the Rams played Kansas City, we watched Leroy Irvin take a punt 63 yards the other way for a touchdown.
Well, Phil, you're wondering who wears number 82 for the LA Raiders? None other than Calvin Muhammad, his first touchdown of the season. 35-yard pass from my friend Jim Plunkett.
With just 25 seconds to play in that one also. Luke Prestridge, the punt, goes down deep, and look at this. All the way down and finally down at the 5-yard line. A 47-yard punt by Prestridge. And the Rams, whoa, have they got a long way to go. And 1:21 to do it.
Both of the punters have done an outstanding job today. Even they have gotten some very good rolls, I must admit, but they have done an excellent job of punting.
As we said, Los Angeles travels across town to meet the Raiders a week from today. Denver is at home against the Kansas City Chiefs. First and 10, the Rams. 3 points down. Ferragamo has to get it up in the air. Double pump right over the middle, and he's hit instantly. That is Drew Hill at the 13-yard line. Dennis Smith right on his back.
All over him, draped over him. The Rams going with their hurry-up offense. 1:04 to go.
Ferragamo to put it up. Wide open, Willie Miller. And he is down at the 45. Steve Trimble, who was starting for the injured Mike Pardon, was the man who brought him down. The clock runs, a pickup of 20. It is 42 seconds to play. There you look at Mike Lansford warming up. The Rams are only 3 points from tying this ball game up. 33 seconds. Ferragamo. To Wendell Tyler, batted away by Tom Jackson. That will stop the clock. With 30 seconds to play.
Tom Jackson using that excellent speed to get out there in front of the receiver and knock that ball away. Phil, I can tell you it's a good thing for both teams to have that clock stopped, because you get in this situation, particularly if you're an offensive wide receiver or defensive back, your tongue just starts dragging at this point. That hurry-up offense, you run down, then you have to run back. Boy, you really start to feel it. And what happens is that you can't run your pass routes really with an awful lot of precision.
3 wide receivers for the Rams. The release to Mike Gooman at the 40, and he simply dropped the ball.
Well, you won't see that too often. Number 44, Gooman, coming out of the backfield. He usually has very sure hands.
Final score at Arrowhead, 21-16, Raiders over the Chiefs. On the strike from Plunkett to Calvin Muhammad with 25 seconds left in the ball game. Boy, don't you know Marv Levy and his bunch are sitting right now in front of their lockers with their heads hung low. 26 seconds to play on this one. In motion, Drew Hill. Boy, he bumped off the line. And the intended receiver was Hill. J.C. Thomas was running right at him. If he'd have looked up, he'd have had an interception.
J.T. Thomas was looking for the hit. He was determined to separate the receiver from the football. And when the ball went whizzing by, he thought, well, maybe I could have caught that ball. But I tell you, he was looking for the hit on that one. 21 seconds remaining.
4th and 10. Care to crystal ball as to what might be the play?
How about a pass?
Not going to stick your neck out, huh?
Well, you could always run a quarterback draw.
I like Preston Denard. Nope, Drew Hill. First down, and he goes out of bounds in Denver Broncos country at the 47. 15 seconds to play.
Well, Drew Hill is a speed burner, probably the fastest man on the Rams team. And what they did is just send him across field, and he was man-on-man with the 49. Dennis Smith, a strong safety. And Smith just simply couldn't keep up with him. Hill just had too much speed.
Hill comes out of the ball game. George Miller has checked in. George Miller, first year out of Southern University, wearing number 84.